Denver Broncos Mile High View, no commercials, no bullshit. So I found it really interesting. I came across the Minnesota Vikings fans' little video cast, and they're having the same dilemma over there in Minnesota as we were having here concerning Kyle Sloter. And I think this opens up a bigger question about quarterback development and these strange ideas that organizations have about quarterbacks. It almost seems like they want the iconic GQ looking. It's just like it's like a cookie cutter thing. Tall, dark, and handsome, and none of them look like they really play the part too well. I always said that Cousins was an experiment to take a quarterback who is having issues being a pocket quarterback by itself, and then trying to convert him into a play-action quarterback. I said it may not translate well, and it turns out, he couldn't even live up to what Case Keenum could do with the team. And obviously, you make Sloter the number 2. I mean, the guy is balling. It's not just, slicing up the Arizona Cardinals. He's been balling, for the last 2 seasons, 3, I guess, with the Broncos, if you include that, making more with having less. I think he's up to, right now, he has like 140 QBR. I mean, we all see the natural talent in somebody. And, I believe that we are now just in this era of similarity to the 80s with wide receivers. There was this trend going that wide receivers had to be these track stars. In a way, they still kind of do that, but they were bringing in all these track stars who couldn't catch a cold, in a cold November rain. And we see this kind of right now with the big arm quarterback. Oh, he's got a big arm, There's plenty of linemen out there with big arms. Football IQ always trumps the arm. When I was in New York and getting stuck watching New England football, when Drew Bledsoe, it was known that his injury was going to be season-ending. It was don't listen to these Patriot fans. If they tell you that, we were always on board with Tom. Oh, we knew. I was there. They were absolutely freaking out because Tom Brady, comparatively to Drew Bledsoe, was a noodle arm. Air quotes. A noodle arm. Oh, y'all, it was the end of the world. It was the end of the world. But Brady has a football IQ to him, which makes up for the lack of arm strength. I mean, if you look at his deep bombs, they average about 55 yards. I mean, he'll throw a 60-yarder, and you may find one. But they average, about 55 yards, between 50. A lot of them are probably even more like 53 yards, because a lot of his bombs, if you go back and look at all his bomb highlights, they're about 50 yards. He doesn't have a Jay Cutler arm. What I'm just saying is in Sloter, what I found very interesting about what was going on in the Vikings, and I said before I even came across that Sloter could probably challenge Cousins for the starting job if it really came down to a fair duel. But they spend so much money bringing in these guys who are unproven, Garoppolo, Brock Osweiler, it goes on and on. There's no development going on. None whatsoever. No development whatsoever. And, big arm, you got to have a big IQ, in my opinion. And I know I'll be marginalized. Oh, they just fought, and the fans, just like they did in the 80s, fell in love with track stars who couldn't end up catching anything. Well, they were fast. They were definitely fast. But they couldn't catch a cold. And then I guess teams realize that, maybe we need people who can actually catch and run a route. Ed McCaffrey, Edelman, all these Rod Smiths, Maybe they not necessarily have to be track stars. You just need consistency at the position, and that's just same with the quarterback. If Kyle Sloter was given a chance and was a high completion quarterback, he's going to move the chains and he's going to be good in the red zone. That's what I'm always saying that I lobby to develop. And I was just reading a Mile High report going on and how 2020 is got to be urgent to get a quarterback, in this draft class. Well, how about you address your offensive line? You don't even have a decent offensive line to drop a quarterback behind. And, maybe you can get Herbert. I'm sure that's how you pronounce it, right? Out of Oregon, Herbert. Yeah, you fall in love with these quarterbacks, and then you got to ask, well, is Herbert a pocket air raid quarterback, or is he a guy that can is he a natural of play action? And you hope that these guys are a natural at the position. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be that way. So we have a game coming up. It's going to be let's watch two shitty quarterbacks who really shouldn't be there. Try to guide a team down the field. It's just, speaking of quarterbacks, it's I don't know really. I think special teams may be the thing to watch with this. But because the quarterback play is so bad, I don't really see what's going to be gained there. What's to be learned until you actually get somebody halfway decent in there. Defensively, how well can they stop the run? Who's the run stoppers? There were some surprises in the last game. Apeko is the I believe I'm saying that right. Interior defensive lineman could develop to be, a starter down the road. Who's going to step it up on defense in the linebacking? Of course, probably the best entertainment value or learning value you're going to get out of the game. So I think everybody's just waiting for the season to get going so we can actually start evaluating what the hell we got here. I want to emphasize that Flacco is an injury away from, I guess, the Broncos or the Mile High Report living their dream of getting Herbert. With this offensive line and Flacco's history for injury, it's very likely he can get injured sooner rather than later. Remember, it was me warning everybody about this. Nobody would listen. Also warning everybody that this is not the 11th best offensive line. They wouldn't listen. They want to listen to the idiots that put that crap out. That's fine. And then, it's going to all be Joe Flacco's fault. What I want to know about this season is how well does both Fangio and Scangarello in particular make adjustments. That's really what I want to know. How are they on the same page as far as making adjustments? Do they have the player personnel that can make adjustments? So I'm concerned with the Denver's running game. Of course, the same people that tell you about the 11th best offensive line, they're not worried. That concerns me. Run stop. What the defense concerns me. You can have the greatest pass rushers all you want and no fly zone, all that, but if they're running on you and then they have third and short, then passing the football really isn't a problem. So, what do you want me to say about this last game? You can get your chores done maybe. Maybe you don't even have to really watch it. It's just going to come down to the Raiders on Monday night.